I'm going to do a little presentation here on protest safety. Going to be pretty basic, pretty short and sweet. It's just a lot of things that you think are common sense that should be known, but not everyone knows, and then some things that aren't so common sense, and then some outside thinking and ulterior ideas. So here we go. Again, the presentation's on protest safety, and it's simply just how to safely conduct a protest and how to keep yourself and the people you're with safe. It's not about pushing things towards riot. It's not about anything like that. It's not about anything illegal or anything like that. It's just simply a lot of times you find yourself in situations that aren't exactly ideal. More and more nowadays you see that tear gas is being used. Riot police are on patrol during protests, which, I mean, they're there for their purpose, you're there for yours. As long as you can both coexist, it works out great. Sometimes that doesn't work. So we're just going to go through a few things that'll help you keep things safe on your end. No matter what other people are doing, you can keep things safe on your end. Before you go, one of the best things you can do is know your local laws and know your personal rights. Because if you show up at a protest and it turns out you didn't have a permit to protest there, you didn't have a permit to set up, you're going to get shut down right away. Or, things just won't work out for you in that end. So you need to know your local laws, you need to know your own personal rights. You just need to know these things for any protest. I mean, if you want to save the puppies or if you're protesting a war, like anything, just know your rights. It's good for any situation in life. If you're going in a group, you want to have at least one person with you that has at least some basic first aid kit with them. Nothing expansive. You don't need like a field surgeon's kit. Anyone that can just carry a few band-aids, gauze, stuff like that. Because when you get a lot of people together, stupid stuff happens. And that's anytime you get a lot of people together. You'll want to bring water, food, stuff like that, simple things. Keep your cash to a minimum. You want enough to basically get you by with what you need to do. You really need to take a look at what you're going to wear as well. You don't want to wear hoods, even though a lot of people say hoods are a good way to go. They help conceal your identity, all that good stuff. They protect you. They're all weather. Don't wear hoods. They're easily tangled up. They're easily grabbed. It's not a good idea. And if someone grabs onto a hood, all that's happening is now you're getting taken down. It's around your neck. It's not a lot of fun. None of that's any good. Cotton is good. Because cotton, if it catches on fire, it doesn't melt to you. You don't want things melting to you. That's bad. Also, fun fact, cotton for clothing and stuff like that, again, a perfect bandage. If you need to, that's a field expedient bandage. And it won't stick to wounds. When they start to heal, it'll keep away, it won't form in with the scab. So another little fun fact there, a little pro tip. Good footwear, always a must. You don't want to be running around in flip-flops. You're not going to do very much there. You're just going to get stepped on. Again, you got a large crowd of people. Those will get stepped on, even if it's not at a riot stance or anything like that. If it's still peaceful, you're going to have your toes stepped on. Anyone that's walked around in crowds will tell you that. Boots, very nice. Boots are always good. Running shoes, even better, because, well, they're for running. That's not bad. And you don't want to wear jewelry. You don't want to wear makeup. You don't want to wear, you do want to wear your hair back if you have long hair. You don't want to wear dangling pieces like ties, stuff like that. Again, these are all precautions. Not saying that you're going out of your way to start things or like wanting to get into some action. These are all precautionary. And the reason for makeup and all that will be brought up later. You definitely want to have your group organized and know a meeting place for afterwards. If you guys get separated, anything like that, having a meeting place, knowing where it's at, knowing how to get there from multiple places, that's always good. You're going to want to do that because if things go south, you'll always have a backup plan. You'll always be able to fall back. You'll always be able to find each other. It's a good place to go. Cell phones are a bit controversial of whether you should bring them or shouldn't. The pros are, well, you can communicate with each other, you can see each other, you can You can find out what each other are doing, you can talk to each other, you can record, you can take video, audio, whatever. The bad thing is, no matter how much you try, you can't turn off your GPS locator. You can turn it off for your satellite imaging, you can turn it off for GPS, but your police GPS is always on, and they always can locate you and track you based on that. So they can verify that you were, in fact, at a protest. A trade-off, sure. It's not, again, the end of the world as long as you're not doing anything horrible. Again, if you're a decent person, generally you get away with, your peaceful protest. So those are just a few things to keep in mind. While you're there, you want to keep together with the group that you came in with. You want to stick together. You want to make sure you keep tabs on each other. There's safety in numbers, especially if you get to a very large number. How many people have been to protests before? Okay, how many people have been to protests over, say, 100 people? Okay, so a lot of you, a lot of people involved. Now when you start to get into the really big protests to where, you're seeing a couple hundred people, how many people here would say that you get a group of 100 people, all those people will be responsible and smart? Get a group of 5 people together and see how many are responsible and smart. It's kind of rare. So you want to know your group well, you want to keep together, you want to watch each other's backs. And you'll have a good time if you can do that. Because, again, you have your meeting place, you fall back, things go crazy, you're out. It's easy. You back up, it's gone. And just because things go south doesn't mean your protest was a failure. A lot of times I get some media coverage, all that stuff. But if you can fall back, regroup, you can go back and do the same thing. Keep it peaceful, keep it nice. It's nice and easy. Definitely know what you're there for. Know why you're protesting and know the reasons behind what you're doing. You saw this a lot with some of the more recent protests where they'd walk up and they'd interview people and they'd ask them, "Oh, hey, why are you here?" And they're like, "Oh, because that one guy got shot and I didn't really like it." Okay, continue, elaborate. What's the point of your protest if you can't draw in more people to follow your cause? That's the point of the protest, is to get more people to identify with it, to recognize it. So know what you're doing. It's not really a safety thing, that's just any protest, just do it. Just know what you're doing. Don't just stand there and like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of here too." It's not that useful. Keep an eye out for police activity and also keep an eye out for the activity of the other people you're protesting with. Because like I said, there's a lot of dumb people out there. It can be on both sides. It absolutely can. If you see police starting to form up, if you see police starting to don gas masks, what would you guess that would mean? If they're pulling out billy clubs, take a couple steps back. Just being vigilant helps out a lot. All right, so being vigilant will help you out no matter what else you bring with you. Just a good set of eyes will help immensely. And keep an eye out and keep track of your exits back to your meeting place. Because a lot of times during protests, roads get blocked off. There's large volumes of people. Cruisers will block off roads as well. And that's to keep everyone safe a lot of times, but it does obstruct things. Make sure you know your exits, make sure you know how to get around, make sure you know how to get where you want to be and where you need to be. Now, if things do go south, then you gotta be a lot more mindful on what actually happens. You have to take a look and see what's happening and where you should be in relation to it. Like I said, if you see police donning gas masks, canisters are probably going to get thrown. That's just pretty much inevitable. People don't want to sit in these things. These are bulky, they're not much fun, they're hot, you sweat in them. You don't want to stay in them for any longer than you have to. So if they're donning gas masks, they're going to be throwing tear gas. Tear gas is not fun. Do we have anyone that's been tear gassed? Military? All right, yep, same here. It's not exactly the most fun day ever. It's definitely an experience, but you do survive. That's the big thing. You sit in a room with tear gas, you survive. It's not the end of the world. It does suck. Some things that you can do to help with that is carry around a little water bottle with about a 5% ratio of baking soda with it. The alkali in the baking soda helps neutralize the gases. It will also help neutralize pepper spray. Now, baking soda, just the powder in itself, works better for that because it sticks to, binds with, and drags off the actual residue of the pepper spray. That works really well. You hear a lot about vinegar, apple cider vinegar in a bandana being an okay solution to deal with tear gas. I don't know. There's a lot of things on both sides. Both sides swear by, either it working or not working. That stuff smells horrible to begin with. I'm not going to want that around my face the whole day. It's just not going to be a fun time anyway. I'd almost take the tear gas. So, there's plenty of ways to deal with tear gas. These right here, not one of them. These aren't going to help you. These are not going to help you. I don't know why people do that. They think it's fun. I don't know. What you can do, use something with an activated charcoal filter, or just leave the area. Stay upwind. You see a canister being thrown, don't run immediately. Watch where it lands, know the wind direction. Because guess what, if it lands over there and the wind's blowing this way, I don't have to move. I'm fine where I'm at. So that's not too bad. And again, the way these work is an activated charcoal filter. Pools use activated charcoal. You can buy activated charcoal at any pool supply store. Home Depot sells it. A lot of places sell it. You can pick it up for relatively cheap. You layer it with activated charcoal, coffee filter, activated charcoal, coffee filter. You put it in a canister. You attach it to the end of pretty much anything that you can get a seal around your face, from 2-liter bottles I've seen even used. Anything you can get a seal will work to some degree. Here's the fun part though. This Israeli surplus, $25. That's not that much. It's really cheap. If you're really into protesting and you really want to be safe, and if you just want to have a little fun, you can really mess with people with these. Hey, $25. You see someone carrying this around, you're like, maybe I'll keep my distance. So they're really cheap, a lot of fun, and they work very well. Yeah?
The mask, just throwing this out, to me, if I was a cop and I saw that on a person, I would kind of take that as inflammatory and that person's expecting trouble.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of how you look at it.
Yep, yeah.
Have you used that? Do you see people? Are they targeted?
In protests, if I was a cop looking at it, absolutely. I'd see this as someone prepping for something that they are pretty certain is going to happen. You wouldn't want to open carry this. You would have it in the bag, or simply carry a pair of swimming goggles. Those will save your eyes. Your eyes are what you need. You can escape an area if you cough a little bit. That's fine. Your eyes are what you need, because if you want to run, you don't want to run in a crowd blind. That's a horrible idea. Horrible idea. Which is where a lot of the injuries come from. It's usually not from any riot control agent itself. It's usually from the people fleeing riot control agents. So a lot of the injuries come from that. Protect your eyes. You should be good. Swimming goggles fit in your pocket. It's nice and easy. Those, completely inconspicuous. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. This is full protection, but also full visibility. So you got to go both ways on that one. Back to tear gas canisters. Don't pick them up, especially if you just have your bare hand. They're very, very hot. Very hot. They're an incendiary device. They burn. If you have a glove, go for it. Just make sure that you're also running with it and keeping your head upwind of it. Because if you pick it up and hold it and they're getting ready to baseball pitch it, you're going to have a bad time.
Isn't moving that or tossing it an arrestable offense, or no?
It can be. It can be. It just depends on where you're at. Some states do not consider it because it is protecting oneself.
Oh.
So
depends who you toss it back to.
Right. If you're tossing it back at the cops, that's an assault on them. If you're tossing it away from individuals, then you can always claim that you're trying to protect them. So it's very situational, which that's the great thing about protests, riots, any of that. It's very situational, which is why There's the big argument of should you bring your cell phone to record or no? Recording's good. Recording's always good. It helps both you, it helps the cops if they are doing the right thing, because who knew? They actually do the right thing sometimes too. You know, it's not always they're the bad guys, so they do good things. It helps everyone involved to record. Anytime you're told not to record, don't listen. If you're in public, you're allowed to. If you're in public view, you're allowed to record no matter what. So it's a myth that you can't record police while they're arresting. It's just something that is completely a myth. It's completely made up. But police love that you follow the rule when they say, hey, turn that off. Turn it over to me. You don't have to do that. If you're under arrest, if they're charging you, then your belongings can be taken at that point. They still have to be checked in, they still have to be, you know, inventoried, all that stuff. So, another thing that people have been doing lately is making sure that their phones, when they record something, it's automatically uploaded so that things cannot be deleted. If it's automatically uploaded to an outside source, it becomes a lot harder to deal with. So that's another precaution that you can take to help protect yourself and others, is to make sure that if you are documenting something, making sure it stays documented. Because it's very easy to accidentally misplace your phone or have something deleted from it, anything like that. And you definitely don't want that. Now back to the makeup, how I said that you don't want to be wearing makeup or anything like that. The chemicals in CS gas and in pepper spray both bind to oil-based products, meaning it's not coming off very easy at all if you have oil-based products on your person. It'll bind to it, it'll burn. What the people that have been tear gassed or CS gas can tell you is it burns your skin too. It's not just your eyes. People think it's just your eyes. It's absolutely not. It's your skin, it's your neck, it's your hands. If you see a visible cloud, leave the area. Again, do it calmly, do it collectively, but leave the area. It's not hard. You will survive. The gas isn't that bad. Sucks for a little bit. Pepper spray is a little bit different because it sticks to you. It stays there. That stuff is a little bit more bothersome to deal with. The suggested medical way of dealing with it is to rinse your eyes for a minimum of 10 minutes with cold water. And it's always cold water. A lot of times you don't have access to 10 minutes of cold water. Like I said, bring the water bottle with you, a little bit of baking soda. It'll help. It won't stop it. It'll help. It'll get the majority of it off of you. It'll rinse it. It'll remove a lot of the residue to get you to somewhere where you can deal with a manageable level that you can deal with, and then go around, find maybe some water, find something else to do at that point. If a lot of the times you see that they use riot ties. They use those zip ties, right? Now to secure, because, well, having 100 pair of handcuffs would be a little cumbersome. So they carry around zip ties. These are military grade ones. So these are the military grade zip ties. They break pretty easy, actually, if you know how to break them. You have to go at a slight angle, which if you're zipped up in them, and again, this is not for you to like escape from the cops. This is, oh, a Molotov landed near me, I need to leave the area kind of idea. What you do is you have to push towards yourself. You have to tighten it up about as tight as you can get, and then if you can get off the end, it helps a lot. You have to wiggle it around quite a bit. But if you get to the edge and you just thrust towards yourself, it pops it. How often do you get handcuffed to your front? Very, 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 very rarely. So if it's behind you, that's good enough. If it's behind you, it's much of the same thing. A lot of time, can everyone see? All right, if it's behind you, a lot of the same thing. What you're doing is you're trying to bring your elbows out while pulling in and going down. And then we'll pop them. The teeth on here, the part that actually ratchets and connects, is the part that breaks it. It's the weakest part. It actually cuts down on the plastic itself. The military version, these ones, they are, I believe, 75 foot-pounds of force is required to break them. Police grade ones, it is 85. It's a 10-pound difference. It's nothing you can't deal with. If you need to, you can. The biggest thing is, for the front, getting it as tight as you can. You can see that I'd tighten them pretty good. You have to tighten it quite tight to be able to break it. It's a little anti-intuitive to tighten it more. That's how you have to do it. For the back one, it actually doesn't matter as much because you have weird leverage back there. I don't know. I don't know what happens, but the angle that you move at works against it. So that part's nice at least. But it's, again, it's not something, because if you did this while you were under arrest, that would be trying to escape arrest at that point. That's not going to help you out unless everyone did it at once and ran. If you can coordinate that, then you're up here next year. So if you can coordinate that, that would be perfect. But yeah, it's definitely a precautionary measure. It's something if you need to get out of there, then sure. But otherwise, not really a good idea. These are all just bits of information to use. They're bits of information to use properly, how you need to use them safely and legally. Because yeah, again, if I have a Molotov thrown next to me, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, you guys, you got me, so I'll just sit here and you guys gonna help me out? Okay. No, I'll probably leave a little bit, maybe help some other people out. But you don't want to stick around. Now, the worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario is if, the shotguns are brought out to where rubber bullets are flying, God forbid, real shots flying around, but rubber bullets, we'll say. Those things hurt, they sting, and they'll put you down. I've never been hit by one. I plan never to be hit by one. You see the after effects of those? Ooh, nope, not something I'm willing to deal with. If that starts happening, if you can't see the gun, it can't hurt you, get behind cover. Rubber bullets don't penetrate through brick walls. They don't go through cars. Move away. If they're to that point, something's very, very wrong. So move away from that situation. Zigzag if you have to. I'm just gonna run. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave fast, and that comes back to the running shoes, not flip-flops. So if things go south, just make sure to keep your head about you. The biggest thing is keeping your head about you, seeing the signs, seeing police form up. They get into a big line, they get the shields out. You don't want to be by it. If you see them pulling up pepper spray, if you see them getting their batons ready, anything like that, things are going bad. If you see protesters starting to pick up rocks, it's also another sign that things are going to go bad. Most of the time, the rocks don't hit the police. They hit other protesters. People aren't very good throws. Imagine that. A lot of injuries from protesters actually come from other protesters. Most injuries, actually. And it's simply from panicking, stampeding, and rock throwing. Rock throwing is actually pretty big. A lot of people get hit with rocks. Who would thought you would be worried about that as one of the people standing there just holding your sign? It happens. So you got to be very careful of both sides of things. Because when people get testy, when people get panicked, people get stupid, bad things happen. It always will happen. It's what you can do to keep yourself and those around you safe. So it's always about keeping things as safe as possible, not escalating things, always avoiding going the violent route, because a lot of times that's what changes the people supporting you to people seeing you as the crazy people burning cars. It oftentimes does work very against your cause. It gets you a lot of publicity, very negative publicity a lot of times. You'll have the argument that no, like all publicity is good publicity. To a certain extent, sure, the word's out there, but a lot of people are now calling you the crazies. Right now, there's a little bit more sympathy towards protesters versus cops. We'll see how long that lasts. Which, as long as the police keep using more borderline military tactics, we'll probably see a fair amount of sympathy, but it's also not going to be from them. So be careful. Be watching out for each other. Know your exits. Know how to get back from where you are. Make sure that, oh, another good point. If you are arrested and you are on medication, you need 3 copies of your medication. I didn't know this. You need 3 copies from the doctor's office for your medication. One is for you, one is for the legal team, and one is for the arresting officers. And if you don't have all 3 of those, you may not get your medication while you're detained.
3 sheets of paper.
3 sheets of paper. You need 3 sheets.
Each person, or you're not getting it.
Right. You need 3 sheets. They say if you have 3 sheets, it's pretty much infallible.
Even if you got the prescription in your pocket with your name on the bottle, you're
Right.
not getting it.
Right. It'll be confiscated, and you won't get it. Maybe if you can get a quick call to your lawyer and really have him there, like on the spot. But other than that, make sure you have, if you're planning on going to a large protest, small protests, completely different world. Anyone that's been at the small protests knows they're very docile most of the time. It's a bunch of people talking, having coffee. You know, that's really what it is a lot of the time. So it's the larger protests that you got to watch out for these things for. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the basics of it. It's really simple. It's a lot of common sense, but it's a few pieces of like the prescriptions. You would think it would be as simple as having the prescription bottle with your name on it with you. You think that would be enough? Apparently, it's not. Is there any questions?
At the beginning, you were saying about know the laws about protesting and know your rights. How would I find out? I'm in St. Paul. How do I find out what the laws are for protesting in St. Paul? Obviously can't just call
There are a bunch
and
of
be like, I might be doing something
right.
wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little shaky there. There's a lot of organizations that will actually have these rules for protests right out there. A lot of political parties do it, and a lot of the more demonstration-based political parties definitely have those guidelines out there. So you can find them. Sometimes they require a little bit more digging, especially in the smaller areas. Sometimes it goes just completely by county. Sometimes it goes by the city you're in. Sometimes it goes by both. So you got to watch out a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to find, but it is out there. It's almost always out there in a compiled list for you. So it's kind of nice. Just a little online research, you should be good.
How would you recommend dealing with someone who's acting like a provocateur? I mean, I saw a recent video about some kid started a dumpster on fire during the protest, and somebody else came along with a fire extinguisher and put it out.
Absolutely.
They got into a kind of a Mark Shunning match over that.
Well, the way I see it is the Good Samaritan's the one with the heavy piece of metal. So at that point, yeah, I mean, if you're there for the peaceful protest, absolutely. Do what you can to keep tensions calm. Talk to people. If someone's really out of line, you can try and take them aside, call over an officer. You can still speak to officers. They're not going to bash you if you walk up calmly and talk to them. They would actually rather have that, because the more calm dialogue they have, the less likely anything's going to happen. It's a lot harder to throw rocks and fire bottles at people if you've had a conversation with them. It's a lot harder to know someone and then attack them. It's a lot easier to form into that mob mentality if you have no conversation, no connection with anyone.
Can you talk about free speech areas at all?
Free speech areas?
Yeah.
Free speech zones.
Right. Okay.
They're growing.
Yeah, bogus.
Yeah. The common thing is You know, it's a free country. We have free speech. We can talk whatever we want. All that stuff, to a certain extent. There are designated zones on campus. A lot of times there are specific zones where people can go and talk. You know, you'll always have your doomsayers there in the summer telling you how you're going to hell. So you can definitely find those zones. A lot of times you have to talk to officials of the area, and then you can find those zones, which again comes back to knowing your local laws. Because a lot of times it's up to the local authorities of where you can do this. And a lot of times if you talk to the police, they will tell you these are the areas where you can do things, these are the areas where you cannot. So at that point, if you can keep things within the law, it's a good thing, because if you have 15 people, definitely stick to that. If you have 15,000 people, you're not all going to fit in that small little area, then you have a little bit more power at that point. So you get a little bit more leeway there.
Yeah, you were mentioning makeup. I don't know if I missed it in your conversation, but you were talking about like maybe one of the reasons why you want to avoid makeup. Not that I wear a lot of makeup, but
Okay.
I don't know if I missed that or not.
Yeah, it was that CS gas, the tear gas, and also pepper spray, they bind to the oils. And so they stick to you. They embed in your skin at that point.
That's lotion too.
Yep, lotions.
Body lotion.
Mascara has a lot of actually strong binding oils in it. You're not going to get that out for a while. Contacts. Thank you for reminding me, actually. Contacts, don't wear them. Don't wear them. Wear glasses, because glasses also help protect your eyes. Not too bad. Contacts hold chemicals to your eyes. So another thing they say is if you did get pepper sprayed, make sure to immediately take out your contacts. They said even if your hands are contaminated, take out your contacts. That's how bad contacts are for your eyes when chemicals are involved. So chemicals and contacts do not get along. Chemicals and oils do not get along. Or rather, they get along very well, just not for you. So you got to watch out for that. Do we have anything else? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.